My name's Vivian Doan, and I'm the creator of SCOLIOFITNESS. I'm an integrative health practitioner and an associate teacher for My Sacred Spine. Today I'm going to take you through a mini routine that's going to strengthen your whole body, and also it's going to be great for your bone health. So it's wonderful for those of us with scoliosis, and also it's safe for osteopenia and osteoporosis, as we're going to work on your bone density. So some optional props, if you have them. Some light weights. I just have some 2-pound weights. If you don't have weights, no worries. You can just use water bottle, cans, something you have from around the house. Also, if you have a looped resistance band, and we're also going to use a chair with a back on it. I'm going to be barefoot on the mat. If you don't have your mat with you, you can also just be on the floor. These are all optional. You'll still get a great workout with or without these props. So, are you guys ready? Let's get started.
So before we get started with any movement, I always like to start by kind of thinking about your power posture, right? So we want to think about standing nice and tall. And a lot of times the way we stand is defined by how our feet are as well. So I want you to activate your feet. So we're barefoot here. So I'm going to lift your toes and then drop your toes back down. And then try to think about pulling the balls of your feet towards the heel of your feet to kind of activate your arches. From there, as you move up, you have just a slight micro bend in your knees. So we don't want to lock the knees out that they hyperextend, okay? And then you have your hips, and then your shoulders are over your hips, ears over your shoulders. I always try to imagine like a string at the top of my head, from the back of my head, that's kind of pulling me up and keeping me nice and elongated. So kind of think about the crown of your head up towards the ceiling, up towards the sky, depending where you are. Okay, now from here, let's just run through our feet for a quick warm up, right? So we're kind of just pretending you're kind of running in place. So this helps to just kind of open up the muscles of your feet. And notice as I'm doing this, I'm still keeping my torso nice and long, right? So still keeping ears over shoulders, shoulders over my hips as I'm just running through my feet. All right, now from here, bring your feet out a little bit wider than hip width apart, and we're gonna warm up our hips and different planes of motion. So I'm just gonna put a slight bend in my knee as I push my hips back, hinge at the hips, bring my arms forward, and then come back up. So I'm flexing and then a slight extension of the hips. Now, from there, you're gonna notice, even as I do this, I'm still trying to keep my spine nice and long, keeping it nice and neutral, just pushing my hips back as I reach forward. And it's really important here to also keep your core engaged, because that's going to protect your low back, right? So we don't want to dump into our low back and arch it. We also don't want it to be too rounded. So just kind of hinge and just move in whatever feels comfortable for your body as well. From here, stand back up. And now we're just actually going to go side to side. So we're not doing a side lunge quite yet, but we're just kind of still warming up the hips. We need to bend one knee and push that hip to the side as you bring the other hand down the other leg and then switch. So again, my torso is still staying nice and neutral, not dumping into my curves at all. All right, perfect. And then stand back up, and we're just going to do a slight rotation, getting into your transverse plane as well, just to warm up the body. Perfect. Now bring your feet parallel hip width apart again, thinking about that power pose. And I want you to bring your arms out nice and wide into a T, palms facing up towards the ceiling, and you're going to feel a nice stretch in your chest. But as we do this, we want to make sure we're not flaring our ribs out either, right? So just trying to get them as level as possible. Keep your ribs pulled in so they're in line with your pelvis. Arms out. Now I want you to exhale as you bring the back of your hands together, and then inhale, open. Good. Exhale and inhale. As you exhale, you're going to feeling the stretch between your shoulder blades, opening that up, and then as you bring your arms out, opening up your chest. And exhale and inhale. Beautiful. Exhale and inhale. Perfect. Now bring everything back down. And the first thing we're going to do is what I call the sit to stand. And this is great to kind of build strength in your legs, in your glutes. Really great just for your healthy bones. If you have osteoporosis or osteopenia, really great to work on this as well for your balance. Okay. So sit with your feet parallel, hip width apart. And I'm sitting at the edge of my seat so I can still stay nice and tall here. Now, I want you to bring your arms out in front of you. And from here, you're going to press your feet into the floor and then stand up and then sit back down. So really grip your glutes as you're kind of lifting off, and that's going to help you get up. And then again, come back down. And as you come up, we're not overarching and pushing forward, and we're not hunching over, right? So you really want to think about squeezing the glutes and come up. You're just thinking about getting nice and tall. So if you want, you can bring your arms by your sides here and just kind of, so you can kind of feel, it's almost like thinking about you're kind of just a rocket, you're kind of taking off into space, getting nice and tall here. And trying to keep your knees in line with your feet, and then your knees tracking over your second and third toes. They're not flaring out or coming in. If this feels too hard for you, or you're kind of losing your balance, you can also use another chair, hold onto the back of the chair, and then use it to help you get up. Okay, let's just do 2 more. And this is going to be great just to help with functional movement as well. And release. Beautiful. So now we're just going to use the back of the chair. So I want you to stand. So you're about half an arm's distance away from the chair. So you're going to just use the chair for balance. If you don't have a chair with a back, you can also hold onto a wall or a railing or something sturdy. Feet are parallel, hip width apart again. Continue to think about that posture. And I want you to just do some calf raises. So come onto the balls of your feet and then come back down. Come to the balls of your feet, thinking about getting nice and tall, and then come back down. So really working on strengthening the lower body, the calves, and really just, this is going to help to support your knees and ankle stability as well. So when you come up, I want to make sure you're not splaying your ankles out, okay? So just kind of come up as far as you can, and then back down without splaying your ankles out. And if you feel balanced, you can always place one on your hip, or both hands on your hips, or just on one side, and just come up and down. Okay, again, making sure you're not splaying your ankles out. Come up and back down. Good. Beautiful. So now let's just do 2 more. And release. From here, you can hold onto the back of the chair and just step back with one foot. I want you to keep your hips squared, shoulders squared, bend into your front knee, and just kind of feel the stretch in your calf behind you. Just breathe. Still thinking, you still have a straight line from the top of your head down towards your heel. And then switch sides. Beautiful. Now from here, we're going to use the resistance band for a little bit. So if you have your band, of course, this is optional. You don't need to use it if you don't have one. And I want you to place it just above your knee. And if you're used to using bands, you can also place it around your calves as well if you'd like, or a little bit lower just by your ankles. Okay, so that's going to make it more challenging. From here, we're going to do some side to side walks. So I want you to keep your knees tracking over your second and third toe, standing just a little bit wider than hip width apart. And I want you to bend your knee, and you're just pushing your hips back. Bring your arms out in front of you, still keeping a nice neutral spine. And from here, staying in the stance, your core is engaged to protect your low back. We're just going to go side to side, and then side to side. Good. Again, keeping your spine nice and neutral. Keep your core engaged. So a lot of times when people go in these, sometimes they end up arching their low back too much and dumping into their low spine. And we also don't want to, again, we don't want to over excessively rounding. So try to keep it nice and neutral. It's more just about bending your knees and pushing your hips back as you slightly hinge forward. So from the front, you can kind of see back, side to side. If you're using the band, I want you to be mindful that your knees aren't coming in as you're using the band, right? So tracking over your second and third toe. This is great for your glutes. So we're working our gluteus maximus, gluteus medius. That's going to be key for balance, for posture. It's going to help us make sure we don't fall and everything as well. Let's just do a few more here. Beautiful. and release. Stand back up, and you can take the band off. That was just an example of how to use the band, and we can practice other ways in a series I'm teaching in February. So stay tuned for more information on that. Now take your dumbbells, or if you have water bottles or cans, we can also use them as well. Stand with your feet parallel, hip width apart again. Put a slight bend in your knees, keeping your spine nice and neutral. And I want you to take your arms out in front of you, palms facing up towards the ceiling, and your elbows are just about 6 inches in front of your rib cage. So notice here, I'm not hinging all the way over and I'm not arching back. Again, still keeping nice and neutral spine. Arms out in front of me, and then here I'm just gonna have you alternate arms and curl one at a time. So your elbows stay stable. They're not moving at all. You're just bending at the elbows. So you see that? Elbows are staying stable in front of my ribs. And again, keeping your upper body nice and lifted. And then option to go into hammer curl. So turning your palms so they face in towards each other, feeling a little bit differently in your biceps this way. Make sure you're still breathing. I always like to remind people, because sometimes when you go into certain exercises, you kind of hold your breath, especially if it's something you haven't done before or if it feels a little bit challenging as well. Perfect. And just do 5 more. And release. Perfect. So now you can keep holding onto the dumbbells if you'd like, or you can let go of them and you'll still feel the impact of this tricep kickback. So I'm not going to use the weight for this one, but what we're going to do, same stance. Feet are parallel, hip width apart. I want you to bend your knees, and then you're going to hinge forward slightly from your hips. So you're kind of like at a diagonal. From here, arms by your sides, and then I want you to bend your elbows so they're 90-degree angles by your sides. And from here, we're just going to do a tricep kickback. So every time you exhale, straightening your arms and then bend. So as you straighten your arms, you're trying to get the pinky side of your fist just kind of up towards the ceiling. So 5 more here. Again, keeping that spine neutral, keeping your core engaged to help protect your low back. And then from here, keep your arms straight. And we're just going to try to lift up and hold for a second and release. And lift, hold. Last 5 here. Lift, hold. So even though I'm not using weights, I actually am still feeling my triceps activate. So I hope you feel it as well. And lift, hold. Good. 3 more. 1, 2, and 3, release. Awesome. So just kind of scissor arms. If you have scoliosis and one shoulder is a little bit lower than the other, bring that arm on top. Okay, perfect. Now we're just going to do a quick plank on the chair. So if you have your chair, flip it around so that you have the seat of the chair facing you. From here, I just want you to stand about half an arm's distance away from the chair. Feet are parallel, hip width apart again. I want you to bend your knees and then hinge forward from your hips. Now you have the option to place your hands on the sides of the chair or on top of the chair. If your hands are on top of the chair, still making sure you're pressing through your finger pads. Wherever you are, making sure your shoulders are over your wrists this whole time. From here, keeping your core engaged, spine neutral here again. Step 1 foot back. And then step the other leg back. I want you to think about, as you exhale, how your ribs fall in line with your pelvis. Tuck under slightly, right? So we don't want to be slouching here that you're dumping into your low back. Lift your hips, tuck under slightly so you're in a slight posterior tilt. Grip your glutes really tight and just hold here for 10 counts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then now press into your seat, push your hip back, and just kind of feel the extension in your spine. It should feel really nice here. And if you, depending on your hamstring flexibility, you can always keep those knees bent, but just kind of push your hips back. So it's kind of like a standing puppy pose in a way. From here, shift back into plank. Grip your glutes again, tuck under slightly, keep your chin tucked. We don't want our head all the way down here and we don't want our neck all the way back. Okay, so ears still in line with your shoulders. From here, you're just gonna step one foot forward and back, and the other one, and back. So we're doing really slow mountain climbers on the chair. Make sure you're still breathing, big exhales. Last 5. And release, press into the chair and stretch back. If your knees are bent, just push your hips back. And now you can straighten one leg and straighten the other. Just gonna shift back and forth. You can straighten both legs if you'd like. Bend your knees, place your hands onto your thighs, and then come back up. Great, so now we're just gonna do a quick little stretch to warm, just slow things down. Since we have the chair, just take a seat on your chair and sit at the edge of your seat. And from here, I'm just gonna take one foot over the other knee. So we're just doing a seated figure 4. One ankle over the other knee, place one hand on your ankle, other hand on your knee. From here, again, keeping your spine nice and neutral, and just hinge forward from your hips and breathe. So you can feel this in your glutes, you can feel in your piriformis. Just exhale here. And then if you can also hug that knee into your chest. So if you ever feel any sciatica pains or kind of just lower limb nerve tension, these are also really great stretches you can do, especially when you're sitting all day at a desk as well, or in your car for a long time. Switch, bring the other ankle over your knee, one hand on your knee, one hand on your ankle. Keep your spine neutral again and just hinge forward from your hips. So just so you can see that, so you're just hinging, keeping your spine neutral. So a lot of times people end up just hunching over and trying to get your chest, your knee or your nose towards your leg, but really it's more just about shifting here. Keeping your spine neutral. You're almost also in an anterior tilt in a way, but we don't want to dump into the back either. And then hug your knee into your chest if you can. Beautiful. And just release. From here, you just do some seated cat-cows. So you can inhale as you're going to bring your chest forward. And then exhale. So again, inhale and exhale. Trying to keep that spine nice and mobile. Inhale. And then now as you exhale, you can bring one knee into your chest. And then inhale. And then bring the other knee into your chest. So just do one more on each side. And release. From here, bring your arms out by your sides. Inhale, bring both arms up overhead. And then exhale, bring your arms back down. Really feeling nice and lifted. So inhale, lift from your ribs. Palms meet in the middle. And then exhale, bring your palms down in front of you. And give yourself a big round of applause for finishing today's mini workout with me. And I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you enjoyed that. And if you are curious about other ways to maintain healthy bones and improve your bone health, join me for a mini series that's kicking off in February. We're gonna go over different exercises, we're gonna go over nutrition and also lifestyle habits to maintain your bone health, build your bone density as well. Again, my name is Vivian Doan. I'm the creator of SCOLIOFITNESS, Integrative Health Practitioner, and Associate Teacher for My Sacred Spine. Thanks again for joining. Have a wonderful new year, and I'll see you in February.